Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Alright guys, welcome to the show. This is episode 5 of War Room. Sorry we're late. I think nearly everybody on the show tonight had a match before this, so we are all tired and still happy to be here doing the show. So let's start off. Siri, give us a little bit of a talk. Introduce yourself and whatnot.
Okay, I'm Serial Thrax from Steel Jaguar Gaming. I'm a light lead, a Jenner pilot, and sometimes drop call as well.
Alright. And multi-talented.
Hello, this is Multi-Talented. I am the creator of Proxys League, and I am currently a pilot of 228 as of this week.
I should put a new tag up there for you. Alright, Antonius.
Hey, Antonius Rex here, leader of Swords of Kentaris, and he's the manager of American Civil War Season 2.
Swing the E-Pain, it's all good. Alright, Coburn.
Do you mean Peter 2000?
Oh shit, is that your name in game? Fuck. Okay, yeah, Peter 2000. My bad.
Yeah, it's not Coburn. You got the wrong guy. I'm Peter 2000. I am the captain of the 007 competitive team of Headhunters of Davian, HHOD.
That was my bad. Communications fucked up on that one. This is Peter 2000, guys. And Iridian.
For what it's worth, there's no way, but it's just Iridian.
God, I'm messing everything up. Well, that's a Photoshop document, so it's gonna stay like that for a little bit.
That's fine.
You're now in the Xander book.
You know what? I've been called worse. I'm Iridian of the Midnight Suns. I am kind of the friendly face of the unit. Propaganda Minister is kind of the official title as far as where I am. We just don't have a lot of titles, so Propaganda Minister. I'm kind of the do a little bit of everything.
All right. Well, there is nothing wrong with doing a little bit of everything. Let me just make that correct-ish. There. Now you're kind of not Coburn. Okay, so tonight, other than general technical errors, which seems to be my specialty, we wanted to do a quick sum up of Proxys. Proxys has been kind of taken off. We've got a few new teams have joined, stuff like that, so Multi is here to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the patch notes and a little bit on weapon balance and what we think we could do to make certain weapons better and balance them towards competitive play. So Multi, why don't you start us off and tell us how Proxys is going?
Well, Proxys has been very, very active, and I'm really happy to announce that we've gotten 19 teams to date. We started with about 12 to 13, and a lot of things have happened since the beginning. As you can see on the screen, we've got the market that I just built, I think, this week, showing all of the mechs in Proxys, and I think there's over 800 of them. It's really, really interesting, and I'm really glad I implemented this before in Season 2. All the mechs were canon base price values, and now they're all dynamic. So you could see, like, for instance, there are 65 Jenners, and henceforth their price is now 13.7 million, as opposed to, like, say, a Commando, being 1 or half of a million. And I think that's really interesting to see the people's choices of mechs and what they've been buying, as well as the 270 million drop decks that occasionally float through the matches.
So how big has the variations been? Like, have you seen drops where it was like 12 lights versus 12 assaults?
Yeah, I've been seeing drops where like pirates are trying to raid a planet, and they'll bring, because the pirates generally have twice the cost for actually building the mech, whereas opposed to playing the game, they salvage 100% of what they kill. So Yeah, I've been seeing like Jenners and other light mechs take on Atlases and things with like PPC jump sniping, stuff like that. And it's really cool to see them get a kill and then they salvage it and then they've completely made up their costs for the entire match, even if they lose. Because who cares if they lose? They're just on a raid.
That is true. You could run like 12 locusts, and if you killed an Atlas, you'd make up your costs. That's terrific.
It's a funny story you mentioned locusts because I know a certain someone who bought at least 24 of them, and the price went through the roof for 3Ms, and people were like, "What is going on?"
Wasn't
and
that
it turned out like this one guy just wanted tons of filler mechs and
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of alcohol, and
The lesson to be learned from this is don't spend lots of millions of dollars while drunk.
I mean, I think
It's an
I might have
important life
actually been
lesson.
there for that conversation. He was just like, "Well, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of locusts."
And no one stopped him.
Chat knows who we're talking about. It's all good. All right,
Yeah.
keep talking, Malty. Tell us more about what's going on.
So
bring the
we've
map up
seen,
here.
it's always been a little bit of an advantage to get the first start off in Proxys, not just that you're closer to the center of the map, but also that you get first pick of the resources. And so with the new dynamic market, that's been more of the case, I'm sorry to say. But I don't think that it's going to be too huge of an issue. I mean, you see some inflation on the prices for some of the teams, but generally we've seen teams kind of grab any of the unknown planets near them, which is very typical, and then start to press each other. You saw a number of pending matches go from about 6 or 8 with 12 teams to now it's about 16 pending matches with 19 teams. So it's really starting to pick up. People are starting to take over each other's planets much more quickly than they did in Season 2. And so you could see some teams drop off the map very early, as well as some teams establish a dominance of the map. We've seen 25th Merit currently holding highest number of planets, so congratulations to them.
Oh, wow, you added a new faction at the bottom of the map. I didn't even see that till right now. Shows how well I'm keeping up on this. Have you seen the turnout for matches be pretty good? Have you had any problems with scheduling, with stuff like that? Has that been an issue?
Funny you should mention that. I actually just put a ticket into PGI asking about that. Specifically, the 12v12 queue, as anyone who's done competitive matches recently, has been hard, to say the least, to match up against each other recently. I think the tonnage limits were increased or something, or restricted more tightly, and so you get these 3 hours worth of drops in trying to sync up with the other team, and you only get one match in on Conquest, no less, and that teams just give up at that point and try to reschedule for later, and I think it's really hurting. But aside from teams trying to meet their deadlines and schedule with other players, that hasn't been so much of an issue. It's more of been, oh, we don't have the mechs or the drop ship nearby when we got raided by this pirate, and so we had to forfeit that match, or we changed coordinators and our point of contact is now somebody else, and we were unorganized enough that we didn't get it. It's not that they don't want to play or that they can't schedule with each other, but I think it's more of the logistics, which is a huge part of Proxys.
Yeah. And guys on the show here, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the exception of Siri, you guys are all in Proxys? Right?
The Midnight Suns were in Season 2. We are not
Oh,
currently
not
in
currently.
Season 2.
Okay. Well, that's my mistake. So, Tony and Peter, how have you guys found Proxys to be?
It's a lot of fun so far. I mean, there's so much to it. There's, I mean, to put it this way, I've spent more time thinking about Proxys than we have about Merrick, just because there's so much there. There's all these little tips and tricks that you kind of have to find out on your own, and you can do anything in it, right? I mean, you can have any kind of drop decks going on. So, especially for the guys sort of running the campaign and getting to play on the map, it's a lot of fun. It's a time consumer. You don't stop thinking about it.
It is super cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really cool idea, and we actually just got started a few days ago, so we're not entirely sure, how it's going. But what is really cool is the potential for meta busting. If you're playing an RHOD type match, where it doesn't there's no cost associated with what you bring. You're going to bring a lot of Highlanders and Gener Fs in generally, or other very popular mechs like DDCs or whatnot. But when you have this sort of economy and you have to have only a few mechs at the right spots, and you can't lose your super expensive mechs all the time.
Yeah, I'm just checking.
It
Highlanders
adds a different flavor to it.
Highlanders are 25 mil, and Gener Fs are 13 mil. So running meta kind of puts a nail in your coffin money-wise.
Yeah, I didn't want to limit
if you can
people
12 O teams all the time, it's fine, but that's not always going to happen.
But if you lose those mechs, I mean, you're in a world of hurt.
No, I didn't want to limit people with hard limits and all that, so I was really happy to, just impose C-bill limits, and I think that's one of the big points, and I just needed to find out how many C-bills people are willing to pay to run that 270 million drop deck that's full of Highlander 733Cs and 3D cataphracts and that sort of thing.
What's the Highlanders cost at now?
It's
The
like
30?
29 million, or did it
okay.
drop?
the 33C is at 28.
I know
Yikes.
the Swords lost one Highlander, and 25mm lost one Highlander. So I was hoping that would drop the price a little bit so we could buy a new one. I guess
That's
not.
instantly half of their matches winnings, by the way.
This is
Yeah.
standard pricing too, isn't it, Multi? So pirates are paying 50?
Twice that. Double.
Ooh.
60 million.
Well,
per Highlander.
I haven't announced it yet, but I just put the code in and saved it. Pirates get normal prices for mechs that are under their base value in their buy price. So, like anything that's white is normal value now.
Oh,
Ooh, I like that.
that's gonna be fun.
Bargain mechs.
Bargain mechs, dragons. God, I just want to see dragons.
I think that'll add a
Oh.
bit more of a unique flavor to them, right? Because now you got the faction that's just going to be buying the unpopular mechs and trying to fight with that.
Well, I gotta tell you,
Awesomes.
it's a lot of fun. I mean,
12 awesomes. That's all I want. 12
It's
awesomes.
It's
that-
funny because awesomes are Merrick only. So I'm pretty sure Merrick has to start that. Otherwise,
Otherwise,
we're just never
nobody's
going to see
buy 'em.
awesomes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard discussion of a campaign into that territory just to get 12 pretty babies and show up for a match with that. Can you imagine salvaging a pretty baby?
Perfect. Alright, so Proxys is obviously underway. Proxys is doing good. Let's talk about the latest patch. Well, okay, first of all, let's just mention the Jester. Has anybody, used it or thought about using it in a competitive match?
that is the coolest mech I'm not gonna buy. But I love the concept. I'm not gonna buy it.
I don't know. The paint scheme has been used by a lot of people who are trying to make the game look ugly. Just
Man,
the
it's-
color choices,
it's
like
all about
purple,
flashy.
orange, and green.
It's all about flashy. What can you say? You feel embarrassed if you get killed by a mech in those colors.
Yes,
Like,
you do.
oh, it's so gross. I can't believe I died. It's a definitely a unique variant. Jump jets on basically a laser K2. I mean, I suppose it could have utility as a jump sniper, but other than that, I can't really see it being worthwhile competitively.
At least you're jump jetting in style.
Yeah, I've always said a jump sniper needs to have jump jets, but also needs to have a ballistic in order to be, worth anything. Preferably two. And you're going up against other heavies that have, two ballistic slots and different, hitboxes, and so you got a lot of, options there. With the Jester, you just don't. I mean, sure, you can mount the two PPCs in the arms, get the high weapons going for you, but that doesn't really help you when
Plus,
it
you
comes
can
to the
already do that
damage
in
you
the
need to put out.
blackjack.
Exactly.
You're 20 tons lighter, and you actually have a better profile because your head's higher up. The problem with the catapult is even if you jump up so your arms come over, your head isn't over yet. You can't get the shot.
Can't see what's going on.
Yeah. Plus, if you fucking get that head up and in the way, catapults are so big. Like, it's still one of the easiest headshots and still one of the biggest CTs. So you got to be careful. I don't think it'll make an appearance in Merrick or LMS or Run How to Die. It might make an appearance in Proxys. Actually, I'm sure.
Oh,
it will.
everything makes an appearance in Proxys.
That's the point. Fun concept though. I like dual AMS mechs. I've seen a lot more of them running lately. I think Siri, were you in the game where I ran into you and I was running the 6 LRM5? That might have just been Jaeger, but I wasted like 1,000 LRMs into like a cloud of AMS, and I was like, that looks like I'm not doing much damage today.
Was it earlier today or yesterday?
Might have been a couple days ago, but I think it was when he was playing with Phil on NGNG.
Oh, in that case, no.
Yeah. Oh no, Antonius, you were in there because we killed you because you were out by yourself in Thunderbolt.
Sure was.
Yeah.
I was a battle master.
Was it?
I came back to my computer from being upstairs. Just autopiloted forwards. Then I realized I went left rather than right with the whole team. And I'm like, I really should just turn around and go back. Screw it. So I climbed up the hill, and yeah, my screen just flashed missiles for a good 50 seconds or so. I lost an arm, a shoulder, a leg, all my front arm. It was great. I think I absorbed 300 damage.
I miss LRMs, man. They're fun, just especially when you're trying to mess around. All right, but I'd say the biggest change out of this patch is the visual effects for Artie. Artie is now even more useful in the fact that it screens sight as well as the large damage. You guys will have to weigh
hold
in.
up.
Oh, yep.
Hold up. That's the biggest change this patch?
Oh shit, seismic, my bad.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That whole seismic thing, yeah.
Worst host.
I could see where you're coming from, but seismic.
It's yeah. Oh, I've been playing without seismic for like a week just to get ready for it.
I think the lack of change the seismic just shows people how good UAVs actually are.
Yeah, no, totally. I completely
Exactly.
agree. Okay,
I
so
mean, they were good before it, but yeah.
yeah. Well, and especially now with the new bonus where you actually get rewarded for using it. Okay, well, we will talk about the actual biggest change, but let's talk about Artie. They've seemed a lot more prevalent in the last few games I've played. I don't know how it's been for you guys. If you've
I mean, they've been prevalent since they upped the damage to 40 per shot. That actually makes them really powerful to take, especially if you have an enemy team that stacks up and you know where they're going to be. You can use it to control their movement, or if they turtle in, you can use it to inflict damage with less exposure to yourself than otherwise.
Yeah, the ability to pin people down is crazy good.
Where we've had pretty good luck using it is actually something like Conquest, where you have people that are in a defined area trying to take something. Nuke it.
Yeah, nuke it hard.
Or
there's
Assault if
really
they're trying to cap your base out. It buys you a little bit of time sometimes.
There's also some nice little tricks with it where if you tag it on an enemy mech, it plants it at his feet. So if there's a bunch of Pop-Tarts shooting at you, you can drop it on his chest and it'll place it at the bottom of his feet behind the hill they're all hiding behind.
I was unaware of that. I thought that only worked if they were on the ground. I didn't know it worked if they were Pop-Tarting. That's really good to know.
I guess I can't necessarily confirm that, but that's how it's feeling like. We were getting some good hits with those tonight. And it's using it against Pop-Tarters too. Yeah,
if you take an airstrike, you can drop it like on the lip of a ridge, and if you know they're Pop-Tarting behind it, it just runs right into them.
Yeah.
There's tons of fun tricks you can do, and it does look a lot prettier now.
I honestly don't like the current implementation with 40 damage.
Too high.
If too high, too random.
Yeah.
If you get lucky, that shell is hitting directly on their mech, and it stands a good chance of headshotting them. Like, we see it not often, but at least every half dozen to 10 matches, a mech's getting headshot. And to put that number of games in perspective, like, every single one of our heavies, every single one of our assaults, they all have at least one strike. And in a game, it's not unusual to see half a dozen from each side. In a protracted, sniping game, you're going to be dumping at 10 to a dozen of them. It's just, that's how good they are. There's no other module just gives you damage.
Yeah.
Well, then like a 9x9, but you can only take one. You can take two strikes.
Well, and even a
9x9
isn't
sniping.
Yeah, it's not like damage. It's just the ability to shoot more. It's just, I suppose that is damage, but it's not. You're literally just clicking a button on your keyboard to do extra damage. I think that... Siri, do you think that it would be better to increase the amount of time in between them? Because right now it's short. It's like 5 seconds. or something ridiculous like that. Like there is always already on the
seconds,
field
but
now.
10
think I
seconds, but
10
if you figure
seconds.
that the duration of a strike is like 5 seconds,
Mhm.
then it's only like 5-second downtime.
I actually suspect they'll reduce the damage slightly before they fiddle with the time.
Yeah, I think 300 would probably be pretty good.
You mean 30?
30?
300 total strike, 30 per shell. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, my suggestion on it would be tone the damage down to like 20 or 25, and then up the actual explosion radius by maybe 30 to 40%.
That's a good call. Make it more of a
but-
blanket.
Yeah, because by upping 30 to 40%, it's actually, squared. So you're hitting 80% more area for half the damage,
But it'll be
and
less
you're not
random.
like
you mean.
headshotting everybody. Yeah, less random, more reliable, and like more predictable. Because on defense, a strike goes down here, you don't know if you're walking out with no damage or getting headshot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that randomness is never a good mechanic.
So you guys are
Any-
seeing a lot of headshots coming from the artillery strikes and stuff?
I
Well,
can say
like I said,
our,
we're dropping half.
one
we're
of our
dropping
last
half a
matches
dozen to
against
10 game.
Ace is. Sorry, go ahead.
When we're dropping half a dozen to 10 per game, even if it's not really all that common, it happens.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen them get headshot, but what's funny is sometimes the light gets legged in one hit, and that's really bad news for them.
Oh yeah, that too.
You
in
can-
our-
the
one
amount
of
of
our
damage
last
it'll
matches,
do to a light's legs.
You
one of
can
our
also
last
jump
matches
it
against
above them.
Aces. I actually got a one-shot kill on a Raven with an artillery strike going in. Just it was Conquest. Just dropped it, and all of a sudden I got a kill out of nowhere. No shots had been exchanged yet. Just the artillery.
You know where it hit him on the raven? The head? I'm assuming?
I do not know exactly,
It's
but
like-
I didn't even have it. I didn't have the Raven targeted. It was just a luck shot. Randomness.
Well, we had
Like,
one
let's put it
tonight,
this way:
Same thing. Just random. I wasn't even
I've had to
shooting at
grind
anyone,
my
just put 'em in.
blackjacks. I've had to
Oh.
grind my blackjacks, and my dominant strategy for it has been bring two like an RDN and airstrike, and walk out with at least 300 damage per game, even if I don't fire a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, they're really good now, and
So would you say at sort of the higher end comp play, do you think, or would you guys like to see the strikes toned down a bit, or keep them where they are? Like in one of our games against Steeljag tonight, I swear we dropped 30 of them between both teams. Like it was just never ending. You saw 2 smoke signals going off at all times, and I mean, in a way, I feel like that takes away from MWO. It's a little bit of the pay to win kind of, because you're paying money to buy these upgrades.
Well,
But it almost feels like it comes away from the Mech Warrior style when you just have constant artillery going off all the time.
Well, I don't think it can be pay to win because you can unlock the best version with GXP anyway, which you earn by playing the game, and then you just pay C-bills for it. So I mean, it does slow your grind a bit, which I guess if you're going to be spending money anyway, I guess is paying. But it's ultimately you can get it for free, if you're a free
There,
player.
yeah.
But I agree with you that it isn't necessarily the best for play for them to be this strong at the moment. And anytime you have a module that's or anything that's must have, if you have to bring it on everything or close to it, it sort of detracts a lot from the choices because you have to have that. And it's the same thing, why seismic was a problem. Why PPCs have been such a problem in the past. It's just there's no alternatives that are close to being as effective, so it simplifies the game too much.
But unlike Seismic, this one is not going to be seen too much in the normal casual play, and so I don't think we're going to get the same response. And so we might see this around for a long time.
that's a good
Could
point.
be. I mean, my team. I bet you in some of those games tonight, my team spent over $1.2 million per game on this stuff. So I mean, you look at my Highlander; it's a 9x9 in both airstrikes. It's 120 grand right there, and everyone on the team's doing it. Well, not everyone, but most of them.
Well, you've got an extra slot now that nobody's using seismic.
Oh, I love that. Love it. Who wants wall hacks anyways? Jeez.
Our poor Ravens are running 4 consumables each.
Oh, I bet. UAV as well? 160? Yeah.
UAV,
I
cool
think
shot,
capturing's
9x9,
later.
2 strikes.
Yep, that'll do it. Yeah, so I mean, I guess let's talk about seismic. How do you guys feel about it? We knew it was coming.
Yay!
I still think it's useful, but you have to put it on some of the slower mechs, like your snipers. I mean, checking cave without going in cave is still pretty nice.
Exactly.
I think
Well, but now
it's-
it's like you take 2 or 3 on the team, and you actually have to monitor it because everyone doesn't have it.
it's also
right, that's
useful.
actually better, right?
It
It's
is better, yeah.
It's way more useful. It's still useful. It's not way more useful. It's still useful on maps like Terra Therma on Conquest or Caustic, maps where you've got a very central theta and you're trying to hold it for as long as possible. Like you can still use it to watch for flanks, and it's still pretty effective.
Yeah, like one of the best mechs we put it on, although we don't really use them much now, was the Centurion A, because it's held in reserve until the fight happens, right?
Exactly what we
did. Like if we were bringing a drop deck with Sense, we'd put the seismic on that and then just post them up near like Cave on Frozen City, or just ahead of our position near the corner, because we want them to be closest to the enemies anyways, right? So they get that seismic blip, let the commander know, and then the commander's like, oh, okay, 3, 2, 1, go, everybody push. And they're already closest.
Yep.
Minor.
Somebody's suggesting that the range should be increased, and I still don't think that's necessary. If the range is increased, 400 meters was so far.
3 mechs
that-
would cover Alpine.
that
Not
well,
quite.
but it would cover the entirety of Frozen City.
Oh god, yeah. I don't think that range would be the problem. I think that it should be more dynamic than on or not on, based on your movement. Like, if you're in a Jenner, it's going to be way harder to track. Like, if you're moving quickly, like, realistically, I know that's kind of a funny concept to bring into stomping 100-ton mechs, but if you're in a fast-moving mech, it's going to be harder to filter out the noise of running than if you're in a larger mech that's moving slower. So, I don't know. I would like to see it vary per weight class and make it more useful for some mechs than others.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen for a while just because of the coding effort.
I agree, but it would
Yeah.
it'd be cool because I believe that the opportunity exists and it's a good place to do something like that.
By the way,
Kind of like something in chat, someone just put in, if it pings slower, so maybe something like the faster you move, the slower it pings, it'd be harder to process.
That's a good call. What were you gonna say? Was it Siri or was that Tony?
yeah, that was me.
Okay.
Public service announcement.
Mhm.
Seismic will actually trigger right when you land from jump jetting. Because right when you land, it sets your speed to 0, and then you accelerate up again. So if you actually spam the jump jets, you can move slightly while still getting things.
Huh. It's good to know.
Yeah, that is useful.
I found out just the
Except
other
IGP,
day.
Jaeger found that out while he was playing on the IGP stream, and then IGP was like, "Wait, what?"
We'll fix
expect
that
that
now.
it will happen soon.
Well, on another note of things that need to be fixed, with the way jump jets work right now, if you just spam them going up a wall, you can climb any wall you want.
Please fix that.
Yeah, I tried it the other day. Like, I was climbing every mountain in Terra Therma, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
I hate the Shadowhawks,
yeah.
the triple AC2s on Crimson Straits. Gosh.
Oh, yeah, top of the mountain. Yep, that's kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's kind of why I don't understand why they put that little forward thrust in the jump jets. It really doesn't stop jump jetting at all, because you can just give like a 5 km/h back thrust and then jump straight up and down still.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
a
I
good
thought
pilot
part of it
shouldn't
was
be
to
jumping
get you
straight
on
up and
stock
down
off of
anyways.
things. I thought part of it was to get you on stock off of things that you shouldn't get stuck on. Because I know people were complaining about that. That was one of the things that I thought was pretty annoying about the slope system. Was that, if you're, climbing up a hill, and it's a hill you should be able to climb, you just took 2 degrees off the accurate path. It just screwed everything up. So if you just hop up, whatever, I got jump jets, I'm going to clear this.
I was under the impression it was to give more of a... because people were complaining about having the ability to vector while you were jump jetting. I thought that was the reason it got implemented. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'd like to see them come up with a solution that doesn't involve jump jets. I mean, it seems like jump jet mechs are the mechs to get nowadays just because of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, jump jet mechs are just... as soon as they introduced the movement hierarchy, jump jet mechs became king again.
Yeah, even if you're not pop-tarting, you still just want jump jets to get around.
Yep.
Oh yeah, jump jets are useful. It's for like the popping, for getting around, and for like dueling when you're jumping over somebody's head and they can't fire back. But the movement change is what really changed it from this is a really good thing to have to you should have this or you're just gonna die.
Yeah, they're
Well, it's unfortunate because I don't know how PGI can get away from that. I mean, that's just the fact of MechWarrior. When you had jump jets, you were infinitely more mobile than anything else. But I mean, how do you get away from that? I mean, it's like, okay, the Orion comes out, everyone's super excited for it. You know, it had the delay, we all really wanted it, and then no jump jet mech. Oh, I guess I'll just stay at my 3D.
Well, part of the problem with the Orion was that
Give
you know,
them-
the hitboxes on it are pretty bad. You can't really protect your center torso from any angle, which is a huge problem for what is supposed to be a brawler mech. But with regards to the jump jets, I think what they need to do is they need to make you have to invest more in them. Right now, one jump jet gets you enormous returns. Yeah, it might not always be the best in a jump sniper, but A, you can still pull it off, and B, you get around all the obstacles, like we were saying. You know, all you got to do is put 1 ton or half a ton in, and all of a sudden your mobility just goes through the roof. They've got to make it so that if you really want to get these mobility boosts, you've got to put in maximum jump jets or close to it.
that would be a
I think-
good idea.
Yeah, I think that could be the solution. Drop, halve the amount of juice 1 or 2 jump jets gives you.
Or up
Then
the
it
weight.
forces you to take. Well, you
My
can up the weight,
suggestion
but then
would
you get
be-
out of cannon a little bit, right?
Oh right.
My suggestion would be currently it affects the amount of thrust you have, right? So how high you can get, how fast you get up on top of objects. So that's why I don't like running only 1 jump jet. I minimum 3 on my Jenner, so I can get up and away from people quicker and not just be trying to get over while people are looking at me and trying to shoot me. But I would suggest that they change it so that the number of jump jets you have installed changes how fast your jump jet fuel comes back. And if you only bring like 1 on a Highlander, say it'll take you 15 to 20 seconds for you to be able to jump again with a full tank.
Oh, that would even put a damper on jump sniping.
Exactly. And in
That's a
addition to
fucking
keeping the difference
brilliant
in
idea.
thrust,
That would
I agree.
Wow. Siri dropping
I like
knowledge
that.
bombs. Because that
well,
would.
you love me.
That's why you keep coming back.
And
That's a-
Aphelios had the same idea.
That's a
So-
great idea. Because then that would increase the ability. Because like on light mechs, if you have 3, that mean, and you could scale it by weight too, so that it's longer for heavy mechs and faster for light mechs. So it means you'd be that much more mobile for light mechs and that much more immobile for heavy mechs if you're just running that 1 jump jet. And on a Highlander, a jump jet, it's a class 3, so it's like 2 tons, right?
Yeah, they're freaking heavy.
Yeah, they're massive.
Oh yeah.
So unless you're willing to commit and lose heat or ammo for something jump sniping, wow, I like that idea so much. Alright, everybody who's here, post this idea everywhere. Reddit, the forums, make sure someone sees it. I want this to happen really bad. Wow. Now I'm just thinking about how cool that game would be.
The show crawls to a stop as Raffle is.
My
Amazed
mind
by
is
brilliant
my
idea.
mind is blown. No, I guess let's talk about UAV. UAV didn't really change much. You just get more C-bills for using it.
Minor segue with that.
Yeah,
When we were
go ahead.
talking about the Cent A being
Mhm.
perfect for the seismic, it's also perfect for the UAV because you know how the big team brawls start, and you're like, okay, Cent A pilots, get ready. Okay, you guys go first. And as they go in, they pop the UAV, so it's directly above the brawl, and you don't have the angles to shoot it down. Good platform for that stuff.
Yeah, I like UAVs are really effective.
The
I wish-
Manchurian.
I wish that they could offer the ability to use LRMs. Like if you had everybody running a UAV, like those give you constant locks. If you had a bunch
Well,
of
actually,
LRMs, Sorry, what
I
were you saying?
watched the 5th match of QQ versus Blackstone on the RHOD first round of playoffs. That was what QQ tried to do in the 5th match. It didn't work out so great.
Because it only
But
lasts for that
they just had a
minute.
million UAVs and a couple of LRM boats.
There's a funny
it-
thing on our team.
Did it just
where-
not do enough damage, or?
Yeah, they got a lot of hits. They got into cover, and it was like it doesn't matter if you have a spot on them. If your missiles are hitting a wall, they're hitting a wall.
What were you gonna say, Tony?
We have a thing on our team where we don't love UAVs because it lights up everything and you have a million red triangles on your screen, and a couple of our players apparently just can't distinguish what's going on when they have that many targets and they can't hit the targets we're calling for, so I guess my guys need to man up and learn how to use that properly. But it's funny
Rex,
that,
I
it
assume you-
confuses people.
Rex, are you saying that your guys are bad at queuing?
Maybe? I don't know.
Are they?
Well, I guess we're not very good at it. I don't know how many tickets we post. Fix this game.
Oh, missed opportunity. The only thing I want to talk about was weapon balance, and we're kind of already at that point of talking about it. We mentioned SRMs last week and how total bullshit trash they are. And I guess I would like to hear what do you guys think would make LRMs viable? Iridian, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. What do you think?
As far as LRMs being viable, I don't know, because as soon as you say change the angle that they come at, I think everyone kind of remembers part of the issue with Artemis when that
Flashbacks.
first came out.
Everybody
yeah.
has flashbacks.
Exactly, the closed, what was it? Was that still closed beta when Artemis first came out, and it, HUD shot everything from above?
That's open, I think.
But it may have been open. I mean,
Yeah.
you had people getting HUD shot from Artemis, and that was changed like next day or something like that. Going,
Even
how
the
did
app-
this not get caught.
The Atlas eyeball, where the LRMs would headshot Atlases. Like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
The first time I ran into him was a full-speed Raven, and I look up, and there's just an arrow coming at me. And I'm going, this is an LRM-20, and it's just a line. And I'm going, this is not right. And sure enough, instant death. But, so you can't change the angle too much, because then cover goes away. You can't really, maybe speed. I think they've said there's a built-in inaccuracy, so maybe decreasing that somewhat? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what the answer is for them either. They've tried so many things, and it never seems to work. It's one side
It's
they're
either
way too good,
way
the other
too
side
good
they
or bad.
useless.
I feel like they had to go one of two ways. Either they sort of continue to use them as they are, which is basically just a fire support, not really a long-range weapon. It's really sort of a fire support type thing with lock-on ability, so that you can sort of move around in terrain as it's rolling. And at that, if they want to do that and they want to balance it for the higher level players, while not breaking it for lower level players, because right now they are actually very good. If you don't know how to aim very well, if you're having trouble, keeping your cursor on CT, having a missile that runs CT is really, really useful, especially because at that level people aren't that great at using cover.
Mhm.
So they're very strong with weaker or less experienced players, but once you get up to like a higher level, everyone knows how to get behind cover in time, and so you don't do any damage. So they could increase the speed to try to counteract that, and increase the bonuses from stuff like Narc, which right now is just utterly useless because it's stacked with Artemis. The clustering bonuses are the same as Artemis. They don't add up, and it's so heavy and slow. And they need to increase the clustering bonuses. So like if I tag you on your center torso and I narc you on your center torso, and somebody shoots a volley of missiles, 90% of those missiles are going to hit your center torso. But if I'm not doing any of that, it's going to go all over the place.
Mhm. Something that I thought would be interesting is if to make Narc effective, you could use it like an airstrike, is if you had Narc as a targetable beacon. So if you shoot your Narc beacon, it stays until it takes so much damage. So if you hit somebody with a Narc, you would then be able to target the Narc on the mech, and it would then blow off basically whatever component it's attached to. as long as you were hitting it with enough LRMs. Or you could lock the narc on the ground and bombard the area with LRMs so that people couldn't move through a certain area or couldn't jump snipe, etc.
Or what if
Man,
you
that
did
sounds-
something like, if you dropped a narc, it would kind of become like an LRM UAV, where, say, anything within 200 meters would get targeted and auto-get the narc buff? Something like that? I mean, maybe that would make it useful, but it's just so heavy, and you
Yeah.
can't afford to take it on a light. That's just crazy.
Maybe something like make it an AoE, like a BAP of sorts, where if it lands, it negates the ECM in the area. Instead of, I think it may just be that.
Actually, I
mech,
like that.
you
The
know,
other
something like
crazy
a-
idea I had for narc is, think about it this way. What if it, as soon as you narc somebody, as soon as they're targeted, you insta-acquire a missile lock. It doesn't matter whether you're aimed at them. And what happens is when you fire missiles, let's say I'm aiming, away into the left, up into the left. The missiles will go up and to the left until about halfway, and then their arc will come back around. So you can sort of do angled shots to try to get around cover and whatnot, and do more dynamic things with it if you know where you want to put them.
I feel like that could bring Narc back. I feel like that... Not bring Narc back. Narc's never been viable. I feel like that could make Narc useful. I feel... it's such a cool concept. Like, the ability to, beacon a target and just, rain unholy fire of LRMs on them. It's such a cool idea, and you never see it happen.
I mean, they've put so much time and effort into LRMs, and they have all these systems that complement them and work with them. And the fact that they're just, not very effective at higher level play really is disappointing when they've, spent all this time trying to make it work.
A lot of time
a lot.
since I installed this game.
Oh god, you know what you could do? Even just a little thing would be, if something is narked, you could get the Artemis bonus without line of sight. Even something like that could be good. As a small change instead of these huge dramatic ones, which I'm still fully support.
That would probably be a nice little bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My stance on the Lerm issue has been pretty consistent, though, and read it before, or if you read it in chat, bear with me. But it's that there's no real point to changing Lerms, and snipers are pretty much a hard counter to them already. It's just the use of... If you buff it to the point where Lerms can kill snipers, then Lerms are going to murder anything else as well.
Yeah.
What I'd like to see happen is brawling be buffed to the point where it's viable and a good counter to sniping, where if a brawler gets on top of a sniper, it will take that sniper down. Because in that case, Lerm's a pretty good counter to brawling, because brawlers have to get out in the open and abandon cover.
Yep.
And with that, you form sort of a triangle of what kills what, a rock paper scissors relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no matter what you bring, there's something you're good against and something that counters you. So you have to be aware and work around your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, I would like them to be on an equal. I don't want them to just be oh look, they're pop tarting, better just kill them with Lerms. I want it to be equal footing. It's hard to use skill and Lerms, but if you were, a skilled LRM support pilot, you would be able to take out a skilled, not take out, but counter sniper, to the point where neither of you are necessarily killing each other, but you're both making the other ineffective.
Yeah, that's just where I disagree, where if you can counter a sniper, then you'll be killing everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
So you gotta make something like, if you fire a PPC, then for the next 20 seconds, all Lerms can lock onto you regardless of where you are.
Yeah,
Then
perfect.
you can
GG.
Specialize it there, right?
You wanted to,
Oh
you
god,
wanted
I
to fix
hate you now,
jumps.
'cause
You,
having heard that, that's probably what PGI is going to do.
this Rex guy is really smart. Let's listen to his ideas.
Oh,
The pilot
God help
matches
us.
a narc to their own chest. Sorry, guys. I fired PPC.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. They've spent
Yeah.
so long going back and forth. I think it's got to be some little tweak that introduces a new ability or a new something rather than just tweaking with the current numbers, because that's clearly not worked.
Nope, you know what? I've decided it's gotta be the narc as its own targetable thing. Because then you can narc the back of a light mech, have it run behind a mech with ECM, and then the Lerms will come down on an angle and hit it. Perfect. New
That
meta
is
right
the
there.
most interesting explanation for a buff I've ever heard.
Right? I'm going high explosives. That's because
Nah. I don't know. It's
just like it.
there's a lot that needs to be done to.
I just think the root issue is cover. Like, either you have it or you don't. Either the LRMs are completely null and void, or you do amazingly with it. That's why you see, like, on Caustic, LRMs just wreck you, but on River City they don't.
Somebody in chat just mentioned something that's I think is a really good point. Do you guys think we'll see LRMs once there's a lobby?
Absolutely.
Well, there's definitely maps that support it, and then maps that you get screwed.
I'm thinking
You'll see it on
specifically
Caustic, for
Caustic
sure.
and Alpine.
Yeah, I actually took a count. I think there's like 5 or 6 maps out of 12 that don't do well with LRMs, and then there's like 4 that do.
You could probably do them on Canyon too,
I think so.
It's tough.
because the time it would take you to get it'd be a complete weapon of opportunity. But if somebody was at all out of place on the top of the canyons, it'd be hard to drop down the angle that they come at right now.
Right, but
drop
there's
down
those
and get
big
instant
buttes
cover.
that make hard cover, those big
that's
rock
true.
formations that you can just walk behind. And that's the thing is, good teams, because a lot of the best teams are running snipers. If you aren't using cover against that, you're screwed anyway.
Very
So
screwed.
everyone's forced to use cover, and if you're using cover against an LRM team, the game's already over.
Well, it's always been about catching the team out of cover when they're making a move. That's when LRMs have always been the best. But yeah, if they're hunkered down in a line, good luck.
Let's be fair. We just need clan LRM 20s, and they do damage at minimum range. It's all good. Perfect.
No, someone had the idea already. Just bring in MRMs. Just get rid of
Ooh.
LRMs, bring in MRMs, it'll be great.
Or the arrow. I'd like to see the arrow.
I mean, there's also maybe they bring in something with the command module. The 3 tons of emptiness that's just been sitting in so many heads that people haven't realized.
We don't talk
you
about
get
the
like
command
a
module.
$500,000 if you sell it.
No, no,
do it.
we don't talk about the command module on this show because I'm so bitter about it not having a purpose.
You were one of those guys who left it in for months thinking or hoping they would do something with it?
Absolutely
I'm one of
not.
those guys who had an Atlas just waiting. I was like, I have a
Yeah.
build with that I can take 3 tons out of, no problem, and then I'll put in the command module, and I'll be so good. Ha 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 ha.
No, I still want the command module to give you a 13th player who sits in the back of the
God,
Atlas
that'd be
and
so much
just
fun.
spectates and like attack Theta,
Mhm.
kill, that would be cool. 13th player.
Yep.
You get coach in there.
That would be really cool. It allows you to you could like view the actual view from the UAV, and like actual call out what their tactics would be.
Hey, I had a random thought. Whatever happened to the ejection pods? Remember there was that 2-week period way back when the heads would open up, but nothing would come out of them. But they had like started working on an escape pod mechanism. Whatever happened to that?
I don't even remember the heads opening up.
Me either.
Really?
Yeah.
Tony, are
Pretty
you
sure that-
Probably
Tony?
closed
Are you?
beta.
Have you started drinking again?
Maybe.
Are you sure that wasn't just one of your fantasies?
No, I swear the heads would open up. You'd
Strange
see it on
fantasy.
atlases.
Tony,
and-
we've all had this dream. It's okay. It's
Hey, someone in the chat, back me up here. Someone remembers this, right?
okay.
Actually, you know what? I
Defunct.
think it may have been something that wasn't 100%. Every once in a while, you would see it. It wasn't like every single kill and every single death, but I think I remember something. And this is way back.
Defunct
It
remembers.
was way back. Yeah, Defunct's got my
And
back.
he remembers from like fucking way back.
Like,
Oh,
how
no.
far back are you talking? Because I've been in since.
It was
the-
probably closed. It was
No,
probably
I've been
closed.
in since like the Founders Package first went on sale, and
You
I don't
know what
remember
I'm
this.
talking about. Well, maybe.
I was gonna
it's-
say this may have been even before that.
Well, no, I couldn't have been. Couldn't have been before Founders. I didn't play them.
Someone
Alright,
scour
well.
one of the viewers scour the MechWarrior forums, find proof.
Could be a video of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Get on it, defunct.
It was probably when it was under non-disclosure, so probably not.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. It probably was.
Yeah.
Man,
Alright.
back in the day, we weren't even allowed to talk about MechWarrior. Crazy. Times have changed.
Alright, well I think we've kind of talked LRMs to death. Unless you guys have any more points you want to make.
MRMs.
MRMs. Aren't those like 10 years out or something?
I mean,
like that?
LRMs are basically MRMs. If you're using them at long range, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Buff SRMs, you have fixed LRMs.
Hmm.
I stand by it.
God, I want SRMs to be good again so bad.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
We talk about SRMs. That's much more interesting.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week, but I'll go over it again.
Fix them.
What would you suggest would be the #1 fix to SRMs? Other than
The hits
netcode.
register.
Other than netcode.
Oh.
Other
Oh.
than netcode. Other than netcode.
Well, to be honest, I don't think they need to fix anything other than the netcode. I mean, if
Right.
it hits register, then we can finally look at, oh, is this the right damage? Is it too high, too low?
Yeah,
So
so
then-
you can see whether
Who
2 is right or
knows?
2.5 is right later, but first I need to start actually doing the damage. When I fire, 6 Artemis 6s at a Jenner, and, he lights up and, he's taking like 2 missile hits, that's a problem.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if they're doing 2 or 2.5. They got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys know, what do you think the difference in between hit reg with missiles is for AC weapons? Because AC weapons clearly have better hit reg than missiles. Do you think it's just the swarm, like how the number of calculations that has to be made at once?
I think
If you
part
gave
of
me the
it.
code, I could figure it out.
Well, I was gonna say I think part of it is that they've stated that I think even LRMs have a built-in miss. Only 40% actually hit or something like that. It's not a 100% hit when you launch them.
Another reason not to equip them, I guess.
I think
I'd
that
have
was
to
just
look
due
that
to
up.
how widely the LRMs spread. And at the time that stat was released, LRMs, like, the spread was so big because their damage was so high that they would saturate your mech and still, like you said, 50% of them would miss. And it would do similar damage to what it does now just because the damage was like 2.0 at that point.
That makes sense. Yeah, brawling it. We talked about this last week when we were talking about like balancing medium mechs and how if you balance SRMs, that'll bring back the role of the medium, hopefully. Or at least that would be the goal. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about ballistics, but ballistics are at a fairly solid state right now, other than you don't see Gauss rifles much anymore, and... Well, yeah, no. What do you guys think about UX? Or what do you guys think about ballistics? Specifically UX, I guess, because they're the top of the meta.
They need a new mechanic. I don't like the random jam mechanism. They need to find a way of changing that a bit. But, they seem overall, not overpowered anymore after they made the jam rate changes and the fire rate and whatnot.
I never understood why they didn't just take the MechWarrior 4 rotary autocannon jamming system and import that into this game. That always seemed so much more logical to me.
How did that work? Because my thought would always be...
You
if
had a
hol-
heat bar, and
Oh.
if you hit the top of the heat bar, then it would jam.
Gotcha. I don't get why they don't just do it as... Still keep the random jam percentage, but... If you hold down the mouse instead of firing at doing the random jam thing, it just fires at the standard speed of an AC5, and then if you double tap, it fires again with a chance to jam. That's what I would say would be.
But that doesn't really make a difference, because people are just going to macro around that. They'll just make sure that they're, double tapping whenever they want to be double tapping and not double tapping when they don't want to be double tapping.
Well,
Right.
plus
what
you can
what
already
matters
do
is
that.
the jam mechanism is completely random.
Yeah. I already can do that with my Ultra. It's called I lift my finger and then click it again, after the refire rate.
Yeah, I've never really had a big issue with jamming when I didn't mean to. But the whole thing is, if that's how they want ultras to work, then this whole system is going to fall apart when they introduce large caliber ultra autocannons like the 20.
Oh god, UAC 20s.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a UAC 40 Jaeger?
80% jam rate on the UAC 20. You heard it here first.
And again, I think we discussed that a couple weeks back, but it doesn't matter
It doesn't matter. You'll be
if
doing.
it jams 80% of the time, because you've just dumped 80 damage into a guy's CT. On anything less than like a 70 tonner, that's just a straight up kill.
Yeah, like you think you. I run a lot of AC-20 Jaegers now, and if that got implemented, holy shit, you'd never see anything but those for heavy mechs in my comps.
Well, it kind of comes back around to one of my favorite arguments for what PGI is doing. It's like, we spend so much time and effort balancing all these guns, which is good. I mean, clearly, especially in the comp scene, you need a balanced system. But the second clan gear comes out, like, balance goes out the window. That's the whole point. Like, I don't understand how they're going to do things in the future.
Well, they said they want to avoid making clans insanely overpowered, like happened in the tabletop and the lore and whatnot. They want to give them some sort of disadvantage. Now, I have no idea how they're going to do that, but they have been saying they don't want to make clans overpowered. So that's at least a good thing to hear.
I have no idea how that's going to be a thing, honestly.
But then we get all skeptical and jaded because they can't even make PPCs not overpowered.
I think PPCs are okay right now, honestly.
They're okay right now,
PPCs would
but you
be
still
totally
see...
balanced if SRMs were good.
But here's the thing, and
I
you
will
see
second that statement.
You saw it
Whoever said
in
that.
the Steeljag Swords game tonight. The low tonnage were both pure brawl teams. But the second you get to a heavy tonnage, everyone switches right back to the PPC Pop-Tart. Because there's
That is
no
true.
alternative. Like, I mean, trust us, Swords, we beat our heads against comp teams trying to brawl in the heat of the Pop-Tart meta, and it's not freaking possible. Not against a skilled team like Steeljag.
Yeah, that's a good
Eventually
point.
you just give up and go, well, I guess they have a point.
Yeah. And now we use Pop-Tarts. Because, we lost enough times trying to get around it.
And like, honestly, I had the most fun when this game was about brawling.
Oh, we all did, I think.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Yeah, some of us even left when it became all about sniping.
Dude, SWK lost some players, and they're like, you know what, sorry, I didn't sign up for Pop-Tart Warrior Online. We lost some guys.
I think a lot. I think
Yeah,
there was
007 had the same issue. We, had to go on break because we just didn't have enough people who wanted to compete in the, pure, PPC meta.
For me, that was just when I was playing with like a really tight group of friends, and a lot of us, like, we still played, like, we still logged on, had fun, whatever, but we couldn't seriously like focus on the game because it was just like, this is a little bit much.
And like, as much as we're retreading old territory, rehashing the same issues, it's a message that this sort of thing hasn't been healthy for the game.
I think everything goes through its states of flux. I think people put undue anger on how long it took to fix PPCs, because as much as it sucked, like, would you have wanted a quick, unthought out fix? That would have been
Yeah,
nice.
well,
I mean,
increase
let's
the
be
heat.
completely honest.
Done.
Everyone was saying that we know what the fix is. We know the fix is you decrease the speed, increase the heat, and it takes 10
months.
seconds to change those values in file. And that's exactly what they ended up doing that fixed it. The ghost heat didn't work. None of the ignoring it didn't work. The problem should have been fixed 6 months before it was actually fixed.
Well, Ghost Heat killed the 6 PPC Stalker and the 4
That it
PPC
did.
Stalker. Like
Yay!
that killed what it was supposed to kill. But then the problem was Gauze PPC.
I guess when I look at it, I just wish sometimes they would take the approach of other game design studios where, you look at, let's use League of Legends as an example.
That's not.
They'll bring out a new patch, something will get buffed, something will get nerfed, and if they do it wrong, well, they just fix it a week later. I feel like PGI has it in their heads where they have to get it right on the first try.
Mhm.
And you can get it wrong, just, weekly patches, or every twice a month.
They've been a lot
you can
better
afford
about
to.
it
The other
lately,
thing-
though.
Yeah, well,
the
they-
other
they
thing League
have.
of Legends. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, the other thing League of Legends does really well, and I've been saying this a lot during the PPC, totally overpowered stage, was they talk to the competitive players. They talk to the people who are competing. They say, you know, what's going on with you guys? You know, you guys know the balance. You guys are breaking it all day long. Can you help us out on what you think the value should be here? You know, we're not always going to listen to exactly what you say. We're going to make sure there's balance for everyone else. But, you know, ultimately, if something's imbalanced for you, it's going to find its way down, and that's what we saw. You know, the top teams were running jump snipers for a while before everyone else caught on, but then everyone else caught on, and it was really sort of toxic for everybody as the entire community.
The difference being that League of Legends top players are actually paid, whereas here we're all still doing this for fun. There is no like competitive esports scene as much as we would all like there to be.
We do it for free.
I mean, okay. Well, I'm gonna move us away from PPCs because we all know what happened. We all know the issues. It's not worth talking about. It's been, you know, communication and development has been leaps and bounds ahead of where it used to be, and I think we're all happy about that. Let's talk about. Do you guys think there's anything to talk about really in terms of balance with autocannons or machine guns, for that matter, ballistic weapons in general? Other than that, I want a long tom. God damn it!
Oh, don't we all? I mean, it might be something to be worth revisiting once, you know, SRMs, but that's a whole other thing. You know, once SRMs come back, everything can be kind of looked at again, I guess.
All the ACs feel pretty good right now. Like, the whole range of ACs all feel in their place. I mean, you see AC-10s used for the first time ever. That's beautiful.
I would have to agree. You see AC-10s used in some jump sniping builds where there used to be Gauss rifles, but more often than not you see UX.
Well, but here's the other thing. A bunch of my guys on my team switched from UX to AC-5s just because, you know, they don't want the jam, and it seems to work a little bit better, and you save some tonnage.
Well,
and that's a beautiful thing where every AC has its place. We see all of them in game right now. That's cool.
Yeah, you even see machine guns. Like, machine guns actually have a pseudo-purpose now.
Totally.
Although I
think it's more because of the spider than anything else, though.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
and a locust.
exactly.
And the Gauss is still, you know, I think a little bit underrated. It's very hard to get the hang of the new mechanism, but it has an extremely good projectile speed. You know, it lets you, you know, even just snipe lights right out of the sky. I've seen our Game 2 pilots do it before. And, you know, it's still a pretty good gun, especially if you, you know, mix it with lasers and whatnot that, you know, take advantage of the extreme low heat, or PPCs even.
I'm actually a little surprised I haven't seen a dual Gauss 3D in comp play yet. I mean, I have one. I run 2 Gauss, 4
I can tell you why.
lasers, and it's, I mean, it's not maybe perfect, but it's still pretty good. I'm surprised no one else, I haven't seen it out there.
Wait, dual Gauss 3D, did you just say?
Yeah, 2 Gauss and an ERPPC.
I think I just saw that tonight. Twin Gauss and 2 mediums, though.
Okay, well, I run 2 Gauss, 4 mediums, although you can reduce it for better stuff, but I mean, dual Gauss, especially if you only use the Gauss and don't use the PPC, and you can focus entirely on just using the Gauss rifles.
I think that the reason you don't see that is because of where the Gauss rifles are mounted on a 3D.
Yeah.
Oh, when you're jump sniping, that hasn't mattered in the past. It's definitely the charge up time and the amount of time
it is
once charged that you have to fire it. But, you know, if you have
Also the
2,
fact
then
that-
it's kind of worth it. So I think that it's going to show up. It's just people haven't taken the time to go play that one specific mech and master it.
That's
Also
true.
the fact
A lot
that
of our guys
fracs
stopped
in
using them
general-
until they learned it.
Also the fact that fracs in general tend to do not so great against, like, Miseries and Highlanders.
Yeah, cataphracts have actually fallen by the wayside as the second golden boy. I mean, obviously Highlanders are at the tip top, and it used to be cataphracts, but I feel like I see a lot more Shadowhawks now than I do cataphracts.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, like, a Shadowhawk with a 20 and a PPC, it's pumping out similar DPS, the only downside being that it needs to get a bit closer, but it's got that jump jet. It's actually got better hitboxes just because it's narrower. You can twist around. Like, Antonius, your friggin' Shadowhawk on that first drop just refused to die.
Yeah.
Whereas the Fract, like, you can pretty much hit the component you're aiming for, no problem,
That's
no matter
true.
what.
The
That is a good
Shadowhawk
point.
is tanky, surprisingly tanky. I mean, it's the shoulders are hard to take off for some reason. It's a deceptive mech.
The left shoulder is not nearly as big as you think it is.
But yeah, so for like that 15 tons less, we were getting nearly the same performance.
Well, and
I
the
would
other build,
agree.
the build I love is you run either two AC5s in a PPC or an Ultra AC5 PPC, and it's just a baby Highlander for 35 tons less.
Is that an XL? Obvious, it's got to be an XL.
It
what
has
am I
to be an
talking
XL, yeah.
Yeah.
It does, but
Try
I don't
stripping the
get
torso.
XL killed that much. I gotta say, it's all CT.
about? Mhm.
Of course, I'm just staring down my opponent trying to shoot my Ultra, so that probably doesn't help. But still,
Yeah. Yeah, I try to run standards in both my Shadowhawks. Actually, I try to run standards in a lot of my builds now, just to be careful.
dude, in comp play, toughness. I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean,
if you're not a light mech, but you're not one of the assaults, at the end of the day, your speed. Well, you still got to stick with the main group, right? So through the 10 kilometers, take a standard.
someday,
I mean, in high-end comp play, life is everything. Right?
someday you're gonna get flanked by 2 or 3 max engine 9Bs with brawl builds, Tony, and you're gonna cry and be like,
I'm gonna cry.
"XLs, no!" No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That'll never happen. Alright, so we talked about missiles, talked about ballistics.
How dare you, Multi? You're wearing pants on a.
On a Thursday, Multi! How dare you? Alright, everybody stop, he's getting back. No, let's talk about pulse lasers, because that's really the thing. How could pulse lasers be useful?
I've always taken them on like Cicada. You use it for when you need to shoot faster moving mechs with that shorter duration.
Yeah, they're good for light hunting.
But
in
they're
medium,
still-
I'd say that's the only thing they're useful for.
I mean,
But they're still not used. Like, that's the thing. Like,
no, they're not.
the problem is, they have shorter range, they're less heat efficient, and they weigh more. And for the mechs where the shorter beam duration really matters, in like light skirmishers, the fact that it weighs more ends up being a huge problem for them because they don't have a whole lot of tonnage to work with.
Yeah.
And for everybody, the short range is a huge problem. And the heat efficiency is a huge problem too, because if you're boating a bunch of lasers, you're going to run the risk of overheating, and your damage per second potential is lower with these pulse lasers. It just usually doesn't make sense to take them, in my opinion. They need to give them some sort of real advantage other than just a shorter beam duration.
What if you made them 1.5 tons rather than 2 tons for the mediums? I mean, you're breaking from cannon, which I know they're trying their darndest to stay away from
Honestly,
doing.
in most cases, even if medium pulse lasers weighed 1 ton, I'd still take a medium laser.
Yeah. Well, I know talking to some of our spider pilots, like the 3 medium pulse laser spider used to be what we thought was the best, and then it turns out they just swapped out for medium lasers in the end of the day. And I was like, well, man, medium pulse suck.
yeah, and I feel like
Medium pulse
Sorry, go ahead.
are medium pulse are kind of the most okay out of the 3. They might
Yeah.
need a slight buff in their damage to heat. Small pulse, I don't know. It's a fine line. If you make small pulse more heat efficient or give them more range, then they're just going to dominate light duels because they can take, if they can get in range, they take legs off lights really, really fast. So I'd leave them for now. Not really a big deal. The large pulse is where it really just kind of falls apart and just completely drops off. Part of that is because heat scale completely negates their shorter duration because you have to spread out your shots anyways.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be hitting the same thing. Actually, heat scale for large lasers I think is just ridiculous anyways. Get 4, even 5 on a large laser would be okay. Because you can defend against it. When a large laser hits you, you just turn and it's spreading. It's not the same sort of pinpoint damage that a PPC is doing that you can't defend against, except by not getting shot at.
Yeah.
So for the large pulse, even if you fix that heat scale though, you're going to need to buff its damage to heat. They did it to, quote, put it in line with the rest of the pulse, and
kept it at the back of the bus.
That literally is not a valid reason in any way, shape, or form. Like you have to balance weapons on their own individual properties. You can keep their flavor consistent if you across a family, but saying these arbitrary numerical values that we picked have to be identical for this family, that's just absurd. I mean, like, there's 7 tons, they have no range, and they do way too much heat, and because of that heat scale, you can't fire multiple of them, so you're negating their effect.
Yep.
Valios had
So-
a good suggestion that, I mean, I've heard that before, and I think that might be the idea. Best suggestion he's heard is to make them a constant duration weapon, never-ending pulses with high DPS. Just also with high heat, obviously.
The thing is,
I
though, like, I actually did kind of like Large Pulse before they put in heat scale and before they changed its damage and heat values. Like, back before then, it was actually a pretty good damage for its heat. And, like, I put 4 of them on a 3D, I was jumping and brawling with them. Like, I'd look at an Atlas, I'd put my full burst into its CT, and then I'd turn away. And they were a good, like, not a dominant, but they were a respectable brawl weapon at that point in time.
I agree. We were running Atlas Stees with 2 mediums, 2 large pulses, and a 20 to brawl with when SRMs got nerfed down, because we were a brawling team at the time. Pretty much, that was our strength. And, you know, we had a lot of success with those pulse lasers. Of course, as soon as we started doing that, they nerfed large pulse lasers.
Of course.
Such luck.
Just when you start having fun.
Yeah. Hey, they still make the coolest noise in the game. Wub wub wub.
Like, that,
No,
that's
but
the most
I do
frustrating.
think that a rework on sort of how they approach medium pulse lasers and large pulse lasers, and just pulse lasers in general, would be a good idea. Because right now, they don't feel different enough. You know, they basically just feel like a slightly different, frankly weaker version of the default lasers. And they need to give them some uniqueness. And I think if you want to give them this sort of more brawly feel, increase their damage per second potential, make them more of a constant beam on, you know, really screw people up when you get in their face kind of weapon. Obviously, they'd have to really look at a lot of the numbers if they're going to do that, because it's a big change to the fundamental mechanics of the weapon, and it will require some testing, and probably they're going to be over or underpowered after they initially implement them. But
And again,
I
without
think
sounding
that
too bitter.
getting more different weapons is a good thing.
And again, without sounding too bitter, that's been the most frustrating thing, is, like, weapon balance has been a 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of a fall on our face moving forward, and then roll around and not quite sure where we end up.
Then, honest guys, it won't happen again.
Yeah.
Alright, well, do you guys have any... I feel like we kind of covered most of the weapons,
Yep.
other than future weapons, which we
MRMs.
can all spectate about. Yeah. Let's...
LBX 10.
I was gonna say, no one mentioned LBX at all.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point.
Do you guys want to talk about the LBX? I think we're all...
Not really.
Yeah, I think we're all really tired.
Yes.
No one uses LBX anyways.
Well, it wasn't tired when I said no. It's like nobody uses it.
Yeah. It could be... I want the LBX 20. Let's try that, and then we'll see how it goes.
The LB isn't that far from being useful.
No. The
Once
pellets-
brawlers come back, the fact that the pellets are really tight within like 200 meters,
Right.
actually, you know, it makes it useful potentially.
If they up the damage per pellet from, like, it's just 1 right now. If it was just, like, 1.1 or 1.2, I think it would be a lot better. If the LBX 10 actually had the ability to out-brawl like a regular AC-10, I think it'd be viable.
The other thing
Yeah.
is if they ever get around to doubling internal structure, it'll be really useful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that it could also be something, you know, when the LBX is probably going to be a lot more useful when it's up close, say, with SRMs.
Yep.
So it seems everything just seems to go back to this one thing, and that
Yeah,
hit registration
fix-
with SRMs.
Fix SRMs.
My suggestion for it is a bit weird. It's make the spread kind of bad, but up the pellet damage a lot. Like, I don't know, 1.6, maybe even 2. And just make it a shotgun.
It's a good call.
Make it the shotgun that SRMs want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think until SRMs are balanced, we don't really know how you would even want to balance the LBX, because if it's just a straight-up shotgun, then there's no point in having SRMs. It's in an interesting place. I'd be interested
The
to
interesting
see.
thing about SRMs is they're like ultimately actually a relatively high skill shotgun, because a lot of times shotguns is like, oh well, you don't really need to aim, but the thing about SRMs is they move so freaking slow that you really need to think about where you're leading your people, unless you're face hugging them.
Yeah, that's
Right,
true.
so you can make LBX
So-
as the more instantaneous, but with lower skill cap, it does less damage.
I like that idea. I hope we see a weapon balance pass sometime soon, because it's been a little while since there was a giant outcry about any one weapon. So it'd be interesting to see them review all of them.
It shouldn't be balancing based on Outcry, though.
No, I agree. That's what I mean. I mean, since we're in a state of everybody's fairly content with where things are at, I'd like to see them look over everything and make changes to certain mechanics, like the UEC and like the large pulse lasers and SRMs.
Narc.
Narc. Yep. To be fair, I just want the Narc to have a use. I don't care about anything else, just the Narc.
What about the flamer?
Oh, we forgot the
No one
flamer.
cares.
No.
No one cares.
I
No
wanted
one
to
cares.
I wanted
use
to
it.
stack
Use it
heat.
for war room intros, and that's it.
I wanted to
Yes.
stack heat. Like, if it stacked heat, it still probably wouldn't be useful, but it'd be fun. That's the point.
Yeah. Well, as soon as they put that cap in where you can't actually overheat someone with it, it's kind of like, well, what's the point?
Well, it doesn't even stack heat right now.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys. We're all tired. Bunch of us just played matches. You guys cool with calling it here?
Sounds good.
All right. Let's go around and do closing shoutouts. Siri, start us off.
Somebody else.
Malty, start us off.
What did you want me to say?
God damn it! Are you playing games? No. All right. Fuck
All right,
it.
everyone think what they're doing.
You mentioned
I
the
got
dual
one more
Gauss
thing.
cataphract.
This is Malty. Is that what you're doing? Okay, this is Malty. He plays video games. He runs a tournament. That's all he gets for a shout out.
Yeah, okay.
All right, Rex.
Just a shout out for Merrick Civil War. We start turn 5 on Sunday. It's the final turn of the campaign. So if people listening in here, if you're interested in getting your team involved, it should be about a month after that. We'll be starting season 3. So it's a good time to focus and get you guys involved.
All right, Peter 2000.
I'd just like to give a shout out to my team HHOD. It's good to be here, and I really appreciate what Multi-Talented has been doing with the Proxys League. I think it'll be good for a lot of teams to sort of have a very different type of league.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Iridian.
Shout out to the Midnight Suns, and also big thanks to basically any and all league admins, because I know I used to be help administrate way back in Mech Warrior leagues. So being able to administrate a league, especially I know Multi's like a one-man show. Much credit to that. I mean, that's a lot of effort, a lot of work that goes into it. So, and my hat's off.
Siri, do you actually
Thank
have
you.
anything you want to say, or are you just?
Yeah, I thought of two.
Okay, killer.
Yeah.
Hit me with them.
My first shout out is to Garth Erlum for actually stopping by and watching our SJR EU game against FM, which is an Italian name that I can't pronounce. And my second shout out is to our very own Brothel Waffle, our host on this dear show, for spelling my name Sirithrorax.
Did I spell everybody's name fucking wrong today? Jeez.
Mine's right.
That's correct, surprisingly.
Let's put it this. Okay, so let's hear the
Mine's
story.
right now.
Let's hear the story about this week. I had 4 midterms this week, and I was like, "Fuck! I have a show on Thursday." I invited like 7 people because I don't actually know who's actually gonna show up. And so a bunch of people actually showed up, and I was like, okay, show's actually going to happen. Shit, didn't think this was going to be a thing. So I made this overlay like while I was talking to you guys before the show, and I didn't check anything. Worst host NA. That being said, I want to thank all of you guys for being on the show. I really like doing this. This is a lot of fun for me, despite it being stressful at times, and despite me misspelling all of your names. You're all in the Xander club now. No, but it's fun. I like it, and I want to keep going with this. I want to propel the competitive scene forward, keep everybody informed about the leagues. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you for the chat being nice and discussing topics and not just being douchebags. I appreciate that. Yeah, so this is going to be every Thursday from now until the foreseeable future, or until I can't pay for Skype group calling because I'm poor. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. Thank you for being on. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Vids will be up on YouTube and Twitch. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll see you guys next week.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.